All right, Sabrina.
So I call this meeting to order, right? We're opening the meeting.
Yep.
Yep, I call it to order, and I call a motion.
Ms. Hicks, you want to take roll call?
Yes, do we have a roll call document?
Ms. Hicks, can you call roll call?
Yes, Chief. I'm pulling Sabrina DeGoges,
Present online.
Marcus Brown,
Present online.
Dr. Deborah Robinson,
Present online.
Sue Killian, she's absent. Chief, I was still pulling up their names. I don't have all of the names for
Okay.
the
So you
subcommittee.
got Cassandra, Thaddeus, Marcus, and Dr. Robinson.
And Dr. Robinson. Yes, I have Dr. Robinson. I have Marcus already.
Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Branch.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Branch.
Good morning.
Also, Dr. Houchins is in the building.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Houchins is in the meeting?
Yes, he's in the room.
Okay. So if I can, Sabrina, jump in.
Absolutely.
Do we have an agenda? Did Sue Davis draft an agenda?
That's what I'm looking for right now. I'm not seeing it. So, do any of my co-subcommittee members see it in their inbox?
She didn't share anything with me as well.
So the only thing I remember, and that's why I'm glad Dr. Houchins is present, is so we were trying to, I think, and y'all reframe this for me. We trying to determine if there's teachers are basically placed high, if high performing, I guess would be the term, teachers are placed where they're most needed and how that comes about. And Dr. Houchins put together some data for us that I think that we were kind of confused by. So at least if nothing else, if he can explain that spreadsheet to us.
Correct, Dr. Robinson. So that's why we invited Dr. Houchins here, so that because you were asking me questions and I could not explain it. So, Dr. Houchins, Mr. Oswald, can you pull up that data and share? Oh, you have it? It's on this one? Okay. Oh,
This
okay.
one here.
We got it. We got it.
You want me to stop sharing?
Yeah, so there was an entire deck of information that Mr. Oswald asked me to go through, which is all of this, but the point, to Dr. Robinson's point, is the last slide. The slides there is an explainer and a link to data. Dr. Robinson, we updated it for May of 25 since the request came in before PM3 was complete for last year.
Oh, great.
I'd rather go back to the slide.
I'll go back to the slide.
Should we be able to see it?
I don't think they're sharing just yet, but I got
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I think I might.
And Ms. Houchins, the other presentation is for the 10 o'clock meeting.
Oh,
But not the last slide. You're
The PowerPoint.
right.
Okay.
We're on the right last slide. We're good.
so this is a different meeting. Oh, hang on.
This is the subcommittee meeting.
Got it.
Right. But that slide.
Hang on, sorry. That's what I meant to press. Okay. So, this slide, I think, was shared with the full group. I'm not sure, the whole deck was shared with the full group. It's the last slide. The title, the May 2025 data request, that's an update to what we provided last year because, obviously the 25 data was available when I was asked to come to speak to this meeting. So just using the slide as an example, and then we can pull up the full Excel or after that. But so there's two tabs in the Excel. One is the percent of so the ask that I had gotten was for teachers who are moving, teachers in schools moving prior level 1 students out of level 1. So why is the I apologize, the mouse is kind of all over the place. Okay, so you've got the school, you've got the number, that column right here that I'm hovered over is the number of level 1 students they were serving. So the students who had gotten a level 1, in this case in FY24, that the school was serving in FY25. Then the next column, you've got ELA and math separately. The next column here is the percentage of those students who remained level 1, the percentage of those students that moved up to level 2, and then the percentage of those students who moved up to level 3 or higher. So, for example, using this first school as the example, they had 19 level 1 ELA students. 63% of them stayed a level 1. 26% moved up to level 2, so they made growth, but not all the way to being on grade level. And then about 10.5% went up to a level 3 or higher in that given year. So this is just a couple of schools as an example. Like I say, it's ELA and math, but the data is the same. Number of students served, percentage staying at the same level 1, percentage moving up to a 2, percentage moving up to a 3. So that's the first tab in the spreadsheet. Then the second tab in the spreadsheet is the percentage of teachers who are moving more than 50%, moving 50% or more of their students from level 1 to something higher than a level 1. So again, using that school, they had 6 teachers in ELA who had level 1 students. 2 of them, so the lowercase n, 2 of them moved their students to a level 2 or higher. And that's 33% of those teachers. Second school, 90% of their teachers were able to move 50% or more of their students. Same for math. Any questions before I go to the spreadsheet while it's still big enough that we can see?
Yeah, quick question. So on the second tab, that was the percent of teachers who moved the students how far?
Out of level 1.
Just out of level
Yeah,
one.
the request that came in was basically which of our schools are moving level 1 students, out of level 1. So we just did, we didn't split for that group because when we're talking about the teachers, there was a little, the end counts were getting small, that it didn't really make a lot of sense. So we just left it moving them out of level 1.
Okay, I'm sorry. So again, on that same second tab, the little n is the number of teachers who moved students out of level 1?
Yes, ma'am. So again, using the first school as the example, they had 6 teachers who had students with a level 1 from, the prior year. And of those 6 teachers, 2 moved more than half their students who had the level 1 to a higher grade or to a higher achievement level.
Okay, because I'm going back and forth from the spreadsheet. I think it's a little bit different. So, okay, so let me just say it out loud so I can write it down. So the capital N is the number of teachers
Who had a level 1 student. Yes, ma'am.
at least one level 1 student.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the little n is the number who moved at least one student out of level 1?
No, more than 50% of the students they had with level 1.
That moved more than 50% out of level 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Of the Mr. Houchin, of the total kids in their class?
Not on the spreadsheet, but it's knowable.
So if I have a class of 20 kids and 10 of them are level ones and I move them all, 5 of them up to level 2, I would be counted on here.
Correct.
Okay.
And I believe that's what we were looking at. I did find an email. It said that our last subcommittee meeting in April, we looked at the data provided from the district. The data shows schools in which more than 50% of their FAST level 1 students went up to 1 or 2 levels. We decided that we needed to cross-reference that data with school effectiveness survey data and the school demographic data. Cassandra.
Just quickly here, do we have the total number of students that are level ones? Is there a total on this spreadsheet?
The total is, we used the numbers, we used the counts on the school level sheet. So we didn't put the counts on the teacher level sheet because in a lot of cases, you know, like for example, Acreage Pines had 19 level 1 students in ELA and 6 teachers. So, you know, we didn't put the end counts on the teacher page, but it's a knowable thing. We just left the end counts on the main page because I think the initial question was about school movement, and then there was the teacher piece was a secondary request. So again, going back to this one as opposed to the one about just teachers, Acreage Pines had 19 level 1 students. And again, the data you're probably looking at was the FY24 data since the initial request came in April. This is the updated data for FY25 since, you know, you should have the newest data. So again, looking at row 4, Acreage Pines last year served 19 level 1 students in ELA. Of those, 63% stayed a level 1, 26% moved to a level 2, and roughly speaking, 11% moved to a level 3 or higher.
Okay, so we can get the number, it sounds like. And do we know, I think part of what we wanted to know is what are these teachers doing to support students to move up through the levels?
Yeah.
Do we have that?
Not as part of this request, no.
No, I don't think that was ever requested. You said, what are they doing?
Right,
That's a broad question, so.
well, it gets to the
That's a
question of quality
cool question.
and effectiveness in whatever language we were using. In terms of learning from the teachers that are doing something right to move students out of, you know, and up the levels academically. So we can look at data all day. I'm happy to do that. I am curious in terms of what the teachers what strategies pedagogically they're using to support students, because that's what I believe we could learn from.
Well, Dr. Thaddeus, I think that this is the beginning, getting the data, and then I think now that we know that Acreage Pines has moved students, now maybe we can find out what strategies Acreage Pines is using, or what strategies Binks Forest is using, or what strategies Belglade Elementary using. But I think that is a question. I don't think Dr. Houchins will be able to answer that. I think that's a question specifically for schools or for the instructional team leaders that are servicing those schools. What's going on in those areas for those strategies? I do want to,
yeah, but Ms. Simmons, that's a kind of an age-old question. And when we began looking and talking about this, there's a tool. We don't have a tool that measures that unless you want to look at the teacher evaluation system, but that's subjective in itself as well. So there's not a tool that necessarily measures, because you're looking at the school culture, the climate, it could be the efficacy that the teacher instills in the students.
Correct, but that's,
So okay, so, and we don't have to spend a lot of time with it. I
Yeah.
just wanted to share what my desire was, and I don't know that it's a tool. I think it's a conversation, perhaps. It could be an interview. I don't know, but that's something that I'm really, really interested in drilling down on at some point. If I have to do it myself, I'm fine with that.
Dr. Robinson had her hand up.
Yeah, thank you. So, like, I'm shuffling through my papers, so my recollection is that, and what Dr. Thaddeus said is where the rubber meets the road, but what we started off talking about was the systemic, the policy related things that, and I'm just gonna say it, that cause or allow they allow schools of concentrated poverty to have teachers who would not be kept or accepted at other schools, right? That's an observation that has stood the test of time. And so, at least from my vantage point, that's where we started. And I actually found the minutes from October 24th of 24. And we talked about obstacles to a, appropriate teacher placement, meaning the kids who are having the most trouble. I think our premise was they should have the teachers that have the most whatever it is that the Thaddeus is going after, right? And so we said data we need, how are teachers placed initially, how teachers are moved to different schools, how are successful districts doing it, school survey results as well as school demographics. And we said student voice, students will tell you if the teachers are effective or ineffective. Parent voices also tell us a lot about the school. Then should we do a principal survey? What are they looking for in a teacher? Where do they like to hire from? Name of the tool that was used to assess principals and teachers, belief system about teaching students different from themselves, or a new tool to measure their ability to do so, financial incentives to teach at certain places, such as high achieving school in the Glades, etc. Right? And so I think that's where we started, and we started with trying to look at the data. So in terms of this, so question number one, so Dr. Houghton said this was shared with us. Is it, if I look for it, it's just going to be called level one student FY24 to FY25? Is that?
I
It's
was able
linked
to
on the
find it
slide
that way.
deck that's
Okay.
tied to today's DDEC meeting.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
It's linked on the last slide of the deck, and I apologize, I thought I was presenting at one meeting today, not two. So there's a link on the last slide of the deck that's for today's meeting that links to the updated data for FY25 that is this file that I have up right now that you're seeing.
Okay.
So you have currently you have the FY24 of
Right,
this.
right.
So the FY25 we will send out when we send out the presentation later,
Okay.
but you'll
And
have a
then-
link.
Okay, and so it appears, just me trying to flip back and forth, that some information got added to this one, and I'm glad because, for example, Acreage Pines, I can't find it on the FY24 spreadsheet. And I know that there was some initial, like, only schools that had more than, I don't know. I don't remember what that explanation was, but let me just work with this one.
Yeah, the
So
initial,
I-
the initial request was for just the list of schools with greater than 50%. And so we just provided the list of schools with greater than 50%. There was a follow-up ask for comparative. This has everything so that it's comparative.
Okay, thank you for that. And then, so I think I want to add, and maybe, I don't know if my co-committee members agree, but I think that at least for me to try to process this data in order to start answering some of the questions that I read before, is I also would like to see the total number of students and the percent of students who started at level one, at the start of the school year, were defined as performing at level one, so that we could see, because I have some theories about what impacts this, and so that would help me know whether or not I'm right or wrong, right? Um,
So just to clarify, so in column C of the first tab, you've got the number of students at the school with a prior level one, but you're looking for a percentage along with that number?
what I'm saying, so the new column C would be the total number of students, and the new column D would be, well, maybe it'd be the new, C would become D, and then the new E would be the percent of
Understood,
students that started at level one.
understood.
Because it's my theory that there's some schools, and I can't wait to like play with this. There's some schools that are like bombarded with low performance students at the entry point, whether it's sixth grade or first kindergarten, first grade, and that's a much heavier lift. And so what I don't want us to do to is to ignore the fact that the lift is heavier in some schools, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want us thinking that, if the percent of formally performing at level one students is 10% at one school, right? That and But those 50% of those students move to level two or three, that, oh, they're just wonderful. Like, listen, teaching is an art. I get that. I applaud them. But my point is, if you're at a school that starts off with 50 or 60% performing at level one, that's a much heavier lift. And so I don't want us to confuse this data with teacher outcome. And then, okay, I have one more question, and um, and you can tell me I'm out of order. So Dr. Houchin, what data? You hear what we're trying to understand. What data would you look at to answer those questions?
I think to Mr. Oswald's point, there's not a measure of the it you're trying to define. I mean, SEQ data for schools, this data, the percentage of students who are what percentage of those students that are being served is that level one group representing? I think those are three things you could do to get closer. But yeah, to Mr. Oswald's point, you've got teachers that are fantastic with the students who are sitting in front of them, and you move them to a different group of kids and they're not.
Right.
It just, there's so many factors that go into it that, the it you're trying to define, I think if anyone were ever to actually define it, they'd be sitting at a billion-dollar company, cornering the education market. I know that sounds like a cop-out answer, but like I said, I think the best we have is, a triangulation of this, again, adding the percentage of students who are level one of their total. I think that adds some context that, to your point, makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the SEQ, this, and then, that's what we've got.
Okay, and that request is for ELA and math. And I'm gonna mute myself now. I'm
Understood.
over participating.
No, I agree, and thank you for sharing your insights, because I think that having that percentage of each school's total would be helpful. And I think that you definitely like hit the nail of what we were originally looking at school wide, right? And how many students, and indicating how many students are in that population, right? Because I think that we started this discussion by saying that some schools are underserved or have higher populations of level one students, and it does make that mark harder to move, right? But in order to like solidify that, we would need a little more pieces of data to kind of put that together, and then we could have further insights. Like this data tells us some stuff, some things, but it doesn't give us a full picture.
But based on just just sitting in the room and listening to what Dr. Thaddeus said and what Dr. Robinson is saying and what Mr. Oswald is saying and what Dr. Houchins is saying, that some of this data that you guys are looking for is qualitative data. It is not in the numbers. It is in what is happening at the schools, what is happening in the environment, what is happening in the classroom. And you're not going to get that just from the numbers. So I don't know, Dr. Robinson, be nice to me, please.
Of course, I'm being nice to you. So I get that, and I never thought that the data would give us all the answers, but the data can guide us to where to get the answers. And so then the next question I have is how difficult is it to get this data at the teacher level, not anonymous, of course, right? And then also, I just want to put out there to put on a sticky note is once we figure out who the shining stars are, whether, and what I mean is, what I'm looking at is a high percentage of students formally performing at level one that got moved, whether it's teacher level or school level. But then maybe there's some kind of way that we can have conversations with the teachers or school-based leaders to get their input on what the it is. And because then we can, because the point is always to improve outcomes, and that is a huge part of that is is I think the belief system and all that. But I'm not going to let go of the fact that there are things that are in place in policy and procedure and bargaining unit agreements, all right, that continue to allow some students to be disadvantaged. But I can't, I can't verify that or get you guys to see it unless we walk this data walk. So can we get this at the teacher level? How, I know it's possible. The question is how hard is it?
I apologize, Dr. Robinson. I think there was some paper moving coming over. I did not hear that last question
Oh, I'm
entirely.
sorry. Can we get this, so this data that we're looking at, school by school, right? Can you, how hard is it to break that down to the teacher level, teacher A, teacher B, teacher C? Not, no, teacher by teacher.
I understand.
Yeah.
I mean,
How hard is that?
that's the source of this, so it exists.
Okay, so it's not hard. Okay,
And
it's a little bit hard. Okay, thank you. So my request, if the committee members agree, is that we get that. Because it's also my theory that some of these, you're gonna see some teachers are zero and others are like moving 60% of their class. And that's who I wanna talk to.
I completely agree. I think that that data would be extremely valuable. And then I'm wondering if it would also, after we disseminate the data, if we could possibly think of some qualitative like surveys or something that we could present those teachers and the administrators of that school so that then we could hone in. I mean, I think you're absolutely correct. This is both qualitative and quantitative. I mean, we have to look at the data, but we also have to go to the source.
Okay, I just want to put back out there, when we went down this road, is that the research is already out there of best practices and research that supports higher performing teachers. You're going to get probably the same variety of strategies that's currently in the research if you look at those practices. And so as far as getting into surveys, I'm going to caution that we do a number of surveys already, and that would have to be, if we're going down that road, a recommendation only. And singling out certain teachers at a school can be problematic as well at a school, as it could affect the culture of a school.
Could we maybe give it to the administration of that school? But I will now pass it over to my other committee members. Dr. Robinson, I believe.
Yeah, but go to Marcus and Dr. Thaddeus first, because I've been talking a lot, but please come back to me.
Okay, perfect. Dr. Thaddeus.
Sorry. I just wanted to, I just lost my thought, but it was something that Mr. Oswald just said. Oh, I know what it was. You mentioned that it would be problematic to single out teachers, and I would say potentially, and I would say if we reframe it so that it's actually celebrating these teachers, I don't know that it would then be problematic potentially. I think it would be a good way to illuminate these teachers and do some highlighting and celebrating and things like that. So I think it's how we frame it.
That's been done in the past in the district, and as a principal that had that certain teachers celebrated, there's also resentment that was caused for others.
That means they need to step it up. But anyway, I'll keep that to myself.
Marcus.
Yes, good morning. I would agree with everything that Dr. Thaddeus has stated. If the surveys, I think it was mentioned before that surveys have been done in the past, and it sounds like there is a potential for this to be shuffled under the rug, so to speak. With regard to the surveys, I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel, but we do have to be clear in the purpose of the survey. So I'm not sure how surveys were presented in the past. I don't know if the intent of the surveys were clearly stated, but I believe that if the intent of the survey is clearly stated, educators wanting to get better and be better and produce educated students more on a higher level or in higher quantity would really want to take part in that. So I'm not sure what the pushback is to having surveys, but if we design it correctly without reinventing the wheel, it should be fine. Thank you.
So you can call it pushback, but it can be problematic. It could be possible union implications. It could be a number of factors, and like you said, depending on how it's designed, and it can only be and remember, this committee can only bring forth recommendations. It doesn't necessarily mean it would be implemented.
That's I respectfully I respect all of that, and I understand that. I'm thinking about those who are impacted the most, those who are less privileged, those who are disadvantaged for whatever reason. And if we have that mindset to make those in making this recommendation, I believe that we have to be open to the risk. We can't be risk averse with everything. I understand that we're dealing with unions and things like that. But if the end result truly is the education of our children, then it's worth the risk, in my opinion, respectfully.
So to your point, I think being able to articulate that very clearly will be extremely important. And I think the additional data point Dr. Robinson has asked for will help get closer to that.
Yep. Agreed.
But I just need to let you, just also provide the reality too of the.
Yep. And we thank you for painting that picture. We need that. But now that we know now that we have more consciousness of the picture, we just have to deal with whatever we have to deal with. If the intent is to make the recommendations that I believe we want to make, that will create a better environment for our children to be educated and build upon what's already working well.
Absolutely.
Can I jump in?
Yes, please.
So, so again, I want to focus on teacher placement, but let me just add this thought that as Marcus was talking, this popped in my head. One of the things that in a magical world, right, that I would want, and I maybe it's a survey, maybe it's conversation, I don't know, but I would want to ask, what are the things I would want to ask school-based administrators and teachers, what prevents you from getting better outcomes? Okay, because at some schools they're going to tell you, like, you know, the kids have too much going on in their life to be able to focus, and I do this, I do that, I do the other, and they will say, like, I need a social worker, or we need three more behavioral health professionals, or whatever they're going to say. I think I know the answer, but I don't know that I know the answer, right? But I think that that might help get us to where I'm trying to go. um, but if I focus on the placement, I want to ask, if we see these superb outliers um, at various schools, I would want to ask the principal, how did you get them? How did you get Dr. Thaddeus at your school, right? At your, school of concentrated poverty that other people will run from because the work is too hard. How did you get her? Is it just that she believes that it's her calling to, you know, um, to lift up the least of us, or was it something you said, or is there some special encouragement, or what is it? How did you get her, right? Um, and then, but ultimately, though, and I said this in, I think, our first subcommittee meeting, I want us to look at um, the stuff that's outlined in the collective bargaining agreement, right? Because there are things that I believe, I can't remember what it's called. Is it called excess teachers? What's a U at? That word's coming in my head, but it's a point in time in the
Yeah.
spring that, yeah, that the quote air quote leftover teachers, right, get placed. They get sent. They get placed. And where do they get placed? They're not getting placed in the easy peasy. Listen, and I get education's difficult no matter who we're talking about. Some environments are harder than others. So they're not getting placed in the schools where most of the kids have this, you know, idealized parental support. They're getting placed in the most challenged schools, right? Those are the schools that tend to have the vacancies, right? Those are the schools that tend to have the newer teachers, right? And you know what else? Okay, while I'm asking, can we add, when you do teacher by teacher, can you add years of experience?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I don't know, I think that might help a little bit, but my point is, where I started and where all the other stuff is fabulous, right? And I think just like there's some things that I think I know that I want to look at data to see if I'm correct or still correct, there are things that have been done in this research and best practices. Dr. Thaddeus can tell us what they should be doing, right? But if we hear it from the people who are in those seats now, and they say, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing," but I put a little spice on it this way or whatever, then I think that adds to the story. But the other thing is um, whether or not we get to the point of recommending that there are incentives of some sort for these best teachers to go where they're most needed. And if we get to that point, that we have to revisit what I call the $10,000 teachers and see what went right or wrong with that. But I'm focused on the teacher placement. That's what this started off for me. Um, so, okay, I'm muting myself.
Um, I completely agree. I mean, I think that that's what we started looking at, right? And um, I apologize to keep bringing up the surveys. I know that there are some issues that could arise when it comes down to that. But I'm wondering if it could be more anonymous or if it could work well better if we go to the administrative level once we identify these teachers and we ask some of the questions that were just proposed. How did they get placed? What was the incentive to hiring them? What was said in the interview process that wanted them to participate in this school, or was it placement? I think that would definitely be helpful. And also, I believe that we should look at the demographics of these schools and see how that's affected by the movement.
I'm gonna sign off to come downstairs for the 10 o'clock meeting. So I'll be downstairs in a few minutes.
Okay. Including FRL data. Yeah. Yeah, including FRL data. Um, Anyone have any other comments? And I do have a question. I apologize, but I've been taking notes throughout the meeting, and I accumulated some of the other data that we've had from previous meetings. Would you like me to send it out to the group? It's my first time acting as chair, so.
Can you please send it to me, Miss Sabrina? That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And that's Taisha, right? Just so.
Yes, that is Taisha Hicks, please.
Absolutely.
So I found some other notes. So I had to find notes on my brain back up. So at the March meeting, we had conversation about what is quality, right? And so based on these notes, I think, and so Dr. Houchins can tell us if this is how hard it is to pull this. So when we do teacher by teacher, if you can make a notification on, like make some kind of notation whether or not they're nationally board certified teachers, or, and I don't know what other kind of things we might want to see, like maybe if they're reading endorsed, if they're teaching ELA. And again, I have no clue how difficult that is to pull. But then the other thing is we said, yeah, we wanted to sort by national board certification, status, school site, years experience. And for students, we said we wanted to see the free and reduced lunch, race, gender, ELL status, and ESE.
Yes. Uh, if you don't mind, could you send me some of those notes that you've pulled out? Because I've found some of my own from previous meetings, and I think it would be helpful, correct me if I'm wrong, to kind of compile them, including today's notes, to hone in because on exactly what we're asking, and so that we could start kind of compiling this information.
Yeah, I can. I need to type them up and I'll send them to Miss Hicks.
Perfect. And I'll type up what I have. I'll send it to Miss Hicks, and hopefully we could compile all of that and disseminate it next month. Would that be helpful to kind of see a log of each previous meetings and kind of see what the discussion has been?
Well, I don't personally know that it definitely wouldn't hurt, but I think that we just need to come in for a landing on where we're trying to go,
I
right?
agree.
Um, so, I mean, I don't know if, what time is it? I don't know if we have time to try to come up with a consensus agreement on where we're trying to go, and then we could um, share that at next month's meeting and make sure that whoever is absent today is good with whatever that is. And then at the same time, then Dr. Houchin can help us with the data to to the degree to which data is going to help guide us in our thought process.
Absolutely. I think that that's a great idea. We do have like 8 minutes if we want to just jot down some ideas, and then we could come back next month and um, regroup at the beginning of next meeting to kind of get a consensus. Do we have a particular goal that we would like to write down? I know that we want to look at the percentage for each total school's total students comparative to their level ones, right? So we want that data, but what's
Right.
the
So
ultimate?
yeah. So I think what I was talking about was higher level than that.
Yeah,
And then we get, we dig into it through the data. So maybe we should put what we think in terms of the bigger questions we're trying to answer. Maybe we'll put it in a chat and then it can be accumulated from there for next month's meeting.
perfect.
Because otherwise we will run out of time. Because I use up 7 minutes by myself. So
That's a great idea. Yes, if we have some any specific questions that we would like answered through this data, like the bigger question, as you were saying, please write it down in the chat. I will copy it. I will add it to the notes, and I will send it out to Taisha. And this way, we could start with that at the next meeting.
I don't know why.
Do we? Are we?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. Are we? What? Are we continuing? Are we?
We're just writing some notes in the chat
Oh,
that I'm going to
okay.
copy over and add to the notes, and then we will end our session.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that we were discussing the notes or not.
I don't think that we have time. We only have 6 minutes today, so we're gonna just jot down like those bigger questions. And like Dr. Robinson had suggested, I think in the chat, and I could copy them down in the beginning of the next meeting. We could see if there's a consensus within the subcommittee. Is everyone okay with that?
That would be fine.
We're going to need to adjourn this one so we can sign into the next meeting.
No problem. We're about to adjourn. We're just sending messages in the chat that I could copy over so that we could discuss at the beginning of next meeting. Let's give it like one more minute for everyone to send in their messages in the chat. Is everyone done? Perfect.
While everyone's typing, may I request that someone send us the current methodology of calculating VAM scores? Because I know the VAM scores are used for some of the, what do they call, incentives, bonuses, incentives?
Dr. Robinson, the state VAM scores are used for the incentives for teachers to move into UNISIG schools, which is basically just DNF schools. And it's, I mean, the VAM methodology is,
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
yes, I can send you the TAP. We can send the TAP on that. It's not particularly understandable. So
Okay.
do you have questions about the methodology for how they assign it, or how they use it to assign the bonuses to staff, or they actually, how they calculate VAM?
I want to see how they calculate VAM, and then down the road, if we end up, because at one point we ended up in the conversation about the incentives and that UNISEG grant program and the use of VAM scores, and what I want people to see is, like other things, they don't really tell you what they think, what one would think that they tell you. How about that for a euphemism?
Understood?
All right, we need to adjourn because we have to get to the other meeting. So I'm
Yep,
going to close out here.
absolutely. So I call a motion to adjourn this meeting at 9:59. Could I have a second?
Is
second.
Marcus putting in comments? Everybody's got their comments in? Because I just see me and Thaddeus right now.
I added mine to the notes because I'm gonna compose it.
Okay,
I don't have any comments at this time.
okay. All right, so second on the motion to adjourn.
Perfect. And I will send this out to Tasia. I'll see you guys in the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. The time now is 10 a.m. I know it's not going to be recorded, but I still have to call it. The time. What did he say?
I have to log into the other meeting.
What did he say?